Hi, I'm Angela.
I'm Richie, and we're with the Fan of Football 813 YouTube channel. I want to start off by making a correction to a mistake I made last week. In my in-depth previews for the Duke Blue Devils as they were taking on Northwestern, I said that I had picked Duke to win, but I did not pick Duke. I actually picked Northwestern to win. So we corrected that in our tallies, but I just want to make that correction off the top.
So our tally is from last week. For week 2. Our tally is for...
Tallies, I got 65 correct, and she got 49. And right now we're going to do our week 3 picks for college football. We're just going to jump right into it. We have a couple of Thursday games this week. The first one is an interesting ACC matchup between the Boston College Eagles and the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. This will be a close one. Wake Forest has a freshman quarterback, Sam Hartman, who's been playing well. Boston College has running back A.J. Dillon, who's one of the best running backs in the country. He ran for over 1,500 yards last season. This will be a game that comes down to the wire. I will have to go with... I'm going to pick Boston College with this one.
And this is going to be a close game?
Yeah.
So I will go for Wake Forest.
Yeah, I might be going back and forth all week with this in my head, but I'll stick with the Eagles. The second game for the Thursday night is 1AA Tennessee Tech is taking on the Utah State Aggies from the Mountain West. Utah State dropped 60 points this past weekend, and they should win pretty easily.
Utah State?
Yes.
And Tennessee Tech is that
1AA?
Okay. I will go for Utah State.
Right.
As well.
The Friday game is the Georgia State Panthers taking on the Memphis Tigers. Memphis, I think, should win this one. They lost a close game last week against Navy, but the Memphis offense should be able to put up some points in this game. It may be close for a little while, but I think Memphis ends up winning.
I'm going to go with Georgia State. So, just to recap, the Boston College versus Wake Forest is Thursday. Utah State versus Tennessee Tech is also Thursday. And then the Georgia State-Memphis is Friday.
Yes. All right, the opening game, the noon game for Saturday. The Oklahoma Sooners will take on the Iowa State Cyclones. Oklahoma's looked really good their first 2 games this year, and I'm going to go with Oklahoma to win this.
How's Iowa?
Iowa State,
State.
They had a good season last year, but their first game this past weekend, they lost 13-3 to Iowa in a rivalry game. They didn't look very good on offense. Oklahoma's looked way too strong so far.
Okay, I'll choose Oklahoma.
The next game, the Kent State Golden Flashes at Penn State Nittany Lions. This should be Penn State's game.
All the way?
Yeah.
So if they lost, it would be an upset.
It would be an upset.
I'm going to go for the upset.
The next game is kind of an interesting one. It's the UCF Knights against the North Carolina Tar Heels from the ACC. UCF, this past weekend, they did win 38-0, but their quarterback, Mackenzie Milton, did not look very good. He threw 3 interceptions in the first half. But they did run for over 300 yards as a team. And even with those 3 picks, they still put up 38 points and shut the team out. North Carolina has not looked good at all the first 2 games. UCF should be able to go in there and win. They should be able to win big, but at the very least, they should at least come out with a victory. So I'm going to go with UCF.
I will go for UCF as well. I'm an alumni there, so I'm going to go for that one.
The next game, the Miami Hurricanes take on the Toledo Rockets. This is an interesting game. Toledo is in the MAC. They normally have one of the better offenses. They have one of the best wide receiving cores in the country. Miami bounced back this past weekend. They dropped 77 points on Savannah State. They looked good overall, but Savannah State is not a very good team. This could be a bit of an upset that Toledo pulls out. I'm gonna go with Miami, but this might be a close one.
I'm going to go for Miami as well since it's a Florida team, but if it's going to be an upset.
It might be. Next game, the Rhode Island, they're 1AA team. They're taking on UConn, the UConn Huskies. UConn has not looked good the last 2 weeks. They've gotten blown out by UCF and this past weekend by Boise State. UConn has a good quarterback, and they're playing the 1AA team, so UConn should be able to win.
I will go for UConn as well.
The next game, the Troy Trojans, they're going to Nebraska to take on the Cornhuskers. Nebraska did play this weekend after having their first game canceled. They lost to Colorado in a close back-and-forth game, 33-28. Troy put up 59 points this past weekend, and they're one of the better Sun Belt teams. This could be a close game, but I'm going to go with Nebraska. They have a true freshman quarterback, Adrian Martinez, who he got injured in the game, but I believe he should play, and he had a really good first debut. And I think Nebraska wins.
And Troy is close.
It could be, maybe.
I'll go for Troy.
Alright, really interesting noon game. The Hawaii Rainbow Warriors are traveling all the way from Hawaii to New York to take on the Army West Point Black Knights. Hawaii, they are on fire. Their first 3 games, their quarterback Cole McDonald has thrown 13 touchdown passes to 0 interceptions so far in 3 games, which is amazing considering they throw it all the time. They throw it up and down the field, and he's not making mistakes. They're putting up points like nobody's business. Army has a triple option offense. They can run it all over teams. It'll be an interesting game. It's a noon game for Hawaii, traveling all that way and then having to get up early. You know, their bodies are going to be 6 hours behind. They're playing a triple option offense, which can tire you out anyway. This will be an interesting game, but I'm going to go with Hawaii to win this one. I think that Army's defense, their secondary probably won't be able to keep up with the wide receivers for Hawaii.
And I will go for Army since it's military.
The next game, the Florida State Seminoles take on the Syracuse Orange. I'm actually going to go with Syracuse in this one, and it's not because I dislike Florida State. It's Florida State has not looked good. They took on 1AA Samford this past weekend, and they were down 23-14. Florida State did end up winning 36-26, but they've not looked very good. Syracuse's offense has been putting up points like crazy so far. Yes, against somewhat lower competition, but I feel like Syracuse's offense is a little too much, and Florida State has struggled so far. So I'm actually going to go with Syracuse to win this.
And I will still go for FSU since it's a Florida team.
The Rutgers Scarlet Knights are taking on the Kansas Jayhawks. This is a pillow fight. Kansas actually did win this past weekend. Rutgers did not look good last weekend. I believe that I'm going to go with Rutgers, though, to win this one.
I'm going for Rutgers as well.
The Ball State Cardinals out of the MAC. They take on the Indiana Hoosiers, and this is an interesting one. Ball State's a decent MAC team. They really held on against Notre Dame. Notre Dame only beat them 24-16 this weekend. Indiana has looked okay. Ball State could win. I'm tempted to go with. You know what? I'm gonna pull it. Ball State. I'm gonna say they win. It'll be a minor upset if they do, but I'm going to go with them.
So it would be upset if Ball State
wins. If Ball State wins, it'll be an upset.
All right, I'm going to go for Ball State then as well.
Next game, the Temple Owls take on the Maryland Terrapins. Temple's not looked good. They're 0-2. They lost to 1AA team. They lost this past week to the Buffalo Bulls out of the MAC. Maryland, they beat Texas last week. They put up 45 this past weekend on Bowling Green. I'm going to go with Maryland.
I'll go for Maryland as well.
All right, the next game, the Kentucky Wildcats coming off a victory against the Gators. take on 1AA Murray State. I'm going to go with Kentucky.
Yeah, I'll go for Kentucky.
The next game, the UTEP Miners take on the Tennessee Volunteers. UTEP is one of the worst teams in America. Tennessee, I think, should win this one.
So, if UTEP won...
We should just stop doing this.
Alright, I'll go for Tennessee.
Alright, next game, the East Carolina Pirates take on the Virginia Tech Hokies. ECU bounced back from a loss their opening weekend to a 1AA team, and they beat the North Carolina Tar Heels from the ACC and killed them 41-19. This could be an interesting matchup. ECU has a pretty good offense, but I think Virginia Tech wins this one.
And I will actually go for the Pirates.
Alright, next game, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets take on the Pittsburgh Panthers. Georgia Tech has that triple option offense. Pittsburgh, I'm not sure they can really stop that offense. I'm going to go with Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech has that triple option that we were watching.
Yeah, because the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets took on USF yesterday. And in a back and forth game, Georgia Tech ran for over 400 yards.
Alright, I'll go for Georgia Tech as well.
Alright, next game, the Tulane Green Wave. They also kind of have a version of the triple option. They're a little more balanced. They pass a little bit more. They're taking on the UAB Blazers. This may very well be a shootout, but I'm going to go with Tulane.
I will go for UAB.
Alright, 1AA UC Davis taking on the Stanford Cardinal. It shouldn't be close. Stanford will win.
I'll go for Stanford as well.
So here's an intriguing matchup. Vanderbilt Commodores from the SEC taking on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame struggled this weekend against a MAC team, Ball State. Vanderbilt's looked good this past weekend against Nevada. Part of me wants to side with Notre Dame, but I have a feeling Vanderbilt may, let's pull that one. Vanderbilt wins. That would be an upset.
If
Notre Dame's in the top 10. Vanderbilt's unranked. I'm going to go for that upset.
I'll go for Vanderbilt as well.
The Ohio Bobcats out of the MAC taking on the Virginia Cavaliers. Ohio's one of the best teams in the MAC. Virginia's an okay team. This could really go either way. I'm tempted to go with Ohio, but I'm going to pick Virginia to win this one.
I'll go for Ohio.
The Georgia Southern Eagles go to the Clemson Tigers. Clemson had a really close game this past weekend against Texas A&M. Georgia Southern, they have a triple option offense, but I think Clemson will be too much. I say Clemson wins.
I'll say Clemson as well.
Wisconsin Badgers, they take on the BYU Cougars. Jonathan Taylor, the running back for Wisconsin, busted out this past weekend, ran for 253 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's one of the top Heisman candidates for sure. I say Wisconsin wins.
And I will go for BYU.
All right. The game, or one of the games of the day, the LSU Tigers take on the Auburn Tigers. It should be a matchup between two top 10 teams or close to it, basically. This is one of those games, man, everybody's going to be glued to their seat. Game day may be there. I don't know who to go with this one. It's at Auburn. I'm going to go with Auburn with this. I think they sneak out a win. But this one will be one to watch.
I'll go for LSU.
The West Virginia Mountaineers take on the NC State Wolfpack. This could be an interesting one as well. Will Grier maybe trying for the Heisman, the quarterback for West Virginia, taking on Ryan Finley, the quarterback for NC State. They could put up some points as well. I think in the end, West Virginia, their receivers might be a little too much, and I say West Virginia wins.
I will go for NC State.
Right, the next game, one of the games I'm personally looking forward to is the Boise State Broncos at the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Boise State always has one of the best offenses. Oklahoma State always has one of the best offenses. Two really good teams overall. From Oklahoma State, one of the best teams in the Big 12. Boise State, they're a top 25 team, one of those teams from the group of five that always comes in, plays these Power 5 teams, and beats them a lot of times. This could be a shootout of all shootouts. This one, you got Brett Ripien, the quarterback for Boise State, going back and forth, setting all kinds of records for passing. Oklahoma State's quarterback Taylor Cornelius has littered up the past 2 games. He threw for 400 yards this last week. I really want to go with Boise State in this one. You know what? I'm gonna go with Boise State. This one though, this could be one of those games that goes to like triple overtime. Both teams over 50 points. Like, you don't know. You just.
I will go for Boise State. They have a nice blue field.
All right, the next game, the Southern Methodist Mustangs taking on the Michigan Wolverines. I think Michigan should take this one. SMU has a decent offense, but Michigan, their defense is good, and their offense sprouted back up this past weekend, so Michigan should win.
I'll go for Michigan as well.
The Southern Miss Golden Eagles take on Appalachian State. Southern Miss has a good passing team. Appalachian State just has a good team. Put it this way, Appalachian State's quarterback last weekend was 14-14. He did not throw an incompletion. He completed 100% of his passes for 295. So I think Appalachian State wins.
I think I'll go for Appalachian as well. Appalachian State.
Yeah. So the Miami of Ohio Redhawks take on the Minnesota Golden Gophers. I think Minnesota takes this one. It could be kind of close, but I think Minnesota wins.
I'll go for Miami of Ohio.
All right. 1AA Lehigh taking on the Navy Midshipmen. Navy, their triple option offense is too good. Navy wins.
I'll go for Navy as well.
Central Michigan Chippewas taking on the Northern Illinois Huskies. This really could go either way, but I say Northern Illinois wins this one.
I'll go for Central Michigan.
All right, next game, USF Bulls taking on the Illinois Fighting Illini in a, quote, neutral site game in Chicago, where Illinois is pretty close to. But, you know, it's a neutral site. Whatever. USF wins.
I'm going for USF as well.
All right, Duke Blue Devils taking on the Baylor Bears. This could be interesting. Keen stat possibility here. The Duke quarterback was injured. He may be out for a while. I think even with him, I think Baylor probably will win, but it'd be closer. But I'm going to go with Baylor anyway.
I'll go for Duke.
Alright, and what could be an upset? The Colorado State Rams take on the Florida Gators. And Colorado State, they are from the Mountain West, but they actually did beat Arkansas this last weekend, who is in the SEC. Arkansas had an 18-point lead, and then Colorado State came back in the fourth and won it. The Gators did not look good against the Kentucky Wildcats. Hopefully, for Gator fans, they can turn it around, but this game in Colorado State, their passing attack can throw it all over the place. It makes me seem like a homer going with the Gators, but I'll go with the Gators.
I'm going to go with the Gators as well.
All right, UTSA Roadrunners taking on the Kansas State Wildcats. Kansas State hasn't looked great the first 2 games, but I think they should come out with a victory in this one. So I'm going to go with Kansas State.
I'm going to go for UTSA.
Next game, North Texas Mean Green take on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas better watch out because North Texas has a really good offense. Mason Fine is one of the better quarterbacks in the group of 5. Arkansas just lost to Colorado State, who's got a really good offense. North Texas coming in with a good offense, but I think Arkansas corrects some mistakes, and I think Arkansas wins.
And I will go for Arkansas as well.
All right, 1AA Wofford taking on Wyoming. Wofford has a triple option offense, which could pose a threat to Wyoming, but I think Wyoming will win this one.
So it'll be an upset.
It would be a little bit.
I'll go for Wofford.
All right, Eastern Kentucky taking on the Bowling Green Falcons. I'm going to go with Bowling Green with this one.
All right, and I will go for Bowling Green as well.
All right, the next game, the Houston Cougars at Texas Tech Red Raiders. This could be a shootout. Houston poured it on Arizona this weekend. They won 45-18, but they were up 38-0. The quarterback for Houston, De'Aaron King, had 6 total touchdowns, 4 passing, 2 rushing. But Texas Tech, all they did this weekend was drop 77 points. This game, both teams should put up at least 40, if not 50. I'm going to go with Texas Tech, though.
I will go for Houston.
San Jose State taking on Oregon. This should not be close. Oregon should have like 40 by halftime. San Jose State's not very good. Oregon's looking really good on offense this year.
I'll go for Oregon as well.
New Hampshire 1AA taking on the Colorado Buffaloes. Colorado's starting off strong this year. They're 2-0. They look good on offense, and then Colorado wins.
I'll go for Colorado as well.
Idaho State 1AA taking on California Golden Bears. California, they're 2-0. Their defenses look good. Their offense hasn't looked great, but they should win.
California as well.
Norfolk State 1AA taking on Liberty, who's moving up to 1A this year. Liberty's got a strong offense, and they should win this one.
I'll go for Liberty.
The Old Dominion Monarchs taking on the Charlotte 49ers. This one could be kind of close. It may be like a 13-10 kind of game, or it could be a 30-27 kind of game. I don't know, but I'm going to go with Old Dominion.
What are their colors?
Like a blue and white.
Old
like
Dominion.
A dark blue. Yeah.
What about Charlotte?
Charlotte's like green.
Oh, Charlotte.
All right. Next game, Bethune-Cookman 1AA taking on Florida Atlantic. The Florida Atlantic Owls, they came back. They beat Air Force this past weekend. Their quarterback threw for 471 yards. Set a FAU record passing. I think FAU wins.
I will go for Florida Atlantic as well. It's a Florida team.
Eastern Michigan against Buffalo. The Buffalo Bulls. This is an interesting MAC game. Eastern Michigan had a small upset this weekend, beating a Big Ten team. Eastern Michigan beat Purdue. Buffalo beat Temple. I'm going to go with Buffalo with this, though.
Do you think it'll be close?
Yeah, it'll go either way.
Eastern. I'm going to go for Eastern Michigan.
All right, Alabama Crimson Tide. Watch out. You take on Ole Miss. This could be an upset. Ole Miss dropped 76 points this past weekend. They have an offense that normally gives Alabama fits. I'm tempted to go with Ole Miss, but I think Alabama ends up winning. So I'm gonna go with Alabama. This will be the upset of all. Like, Alabama's number 1, and Ole Miss is unranked.
So if Ole Miss wins.
Yeah, it'll be a big upset.
I'm going for Ole Miss.
I'm tempted. I want to be wrong about that one, but the Campbell Camels. That's what they are. The Campbell Camels. They 1AA team take on Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Coastal Carolina had a good victory this weekend. They beat UAB, and I think they win again. Coastal Carolina.
I will go for Coastal Carolina as well.
All right, the Texas State Bobcats take on the South Alabama Jaguars. This could kind of go either way. I'm gonna go with Texas State in this one. Their quarterback's a bit of a dual threat. I think Texas State probably wins.
I will go for Texas State as well.
Arkansas State Red Bulls take on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. This could be a bit of a shootout, but I'm going to go with Arkansas State.
So it could go back and forth?
Yeah. Arkansas State.
I will go for Tulsa.
The next game, Alabama A&M 1AA taking on the Cincinnati Bearcats from the American Athletic Conference. Cincinnati started off well this year. They're 2-0. I think they go to 3-0. Cincinnati wins.
I will go for Cincinnati.
1AA Delaware State taking on Western Michigan. I'm going to go with Western Michigan for that.
I will as well.
Oregon State Beavers out of the Pac-12 taking on the Nevada Wolfpack. This could go back and forth. Both offenses have been pretty good, but I think Oregon State wins.
I'll go for Oregon State as well.
All right, Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. Middle Tennessee State has one of the better quarterbacks in the group of five, Brent Stockstill, but I think Georgia will be too much, so Georgia wins.
I'll go for Middle Tennessee.
Louisiana Raging Cajuns taking on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Nick Fitzgerald is back at quarterback for Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State wins.
I will do Louisiana.
All right, next game, Marshall Thundering Herd at South Carolina Gamecocks. This could be kind of interesting. Marshall's a pretty good offense, but South Carolina, I think, will win this one.
I will go for Marshall.
Next game, the UL Monroe Warhawks takes on the Texas A&M Aggies. Texas A&M almost upset number 2 Clemson this past weekend. I think A&M should win.
So who's going to be the upset for this one?
If UL Monroe wins, that would be an upset.
All right, I'm going to go for UL Monroe.
Next game, Missouri Tigers take on the Purdue Boilermakers. This could go back and forth, but Drew Lockett, quarterback for Missouri, has been a little too much. Purdue lost this weekend to Eastern Michigan. I think Missouri wins.
I'll go for Missouri as well.
Northern Iowa, 1AA taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes. The Iowa Hawkeyes haven't looked great the first 2 games, but they're 2-0 and they're strong defensively. I think Iowa wins.
I will go for Iowa as well.
The Western Kentucky Hilltoppers take on the Louisville Cardinals. Neither team has looked particularly good so far this year, but I think Louisville wins this.
They're kind of even right now with
Yeah.
each other.
Kind of. But Louisville's got a little more talent.
I'll go for Western Kentucky.
All right, the UMass Minutemen take on the Florida International Golden Panthers. I think Florida International should win this one. It could go back and forth, but I think Florida International wins.
I will go for FIU as well.
All right, the Akron Zips take on the Northwestern Wildcats. I think Northwestern, behind their running back Jeremy Larkin, I think Northwestern wins.
I will go for Northwestern as well.
One of the top games of the weekend, the Ohio State Buckeyes will play the TCU Horned Frogs. Both teams are ranked. Ohio State's looked way too good the first 2 games. TCU, they look good. They did struggle in the first half this past weekend in a rain game against Southern Methodist, but TCU did end up winning. It could be a bit of a shootout. Both offenses are good, but I gotta go with Ohio State and a quarterback Dwayne Haskins, who's maybe a potential Heisman candidate.
And I will go for Ohio State as well.
The USC Trojans taking on the Texas Longhorns. Oh man, USC did not look good this weekend, but Texas really didn't either, even though they won. You know what, I'm going to go with Texas.
I will go for Texas.
The New Mexico Lobos against the New Mexico State Aggies in-state rivalry, but I think the Lobos win this one.
I will go with New Mexico State.
All right, Eastern Washington, 1AA taking on the Washington State Cougars. Eastern Washington is normally one of the better teams in 1AA, though. They have an offense that, they beat Washington State a year or 2 ago, and they'll come up and they'll beat some 1A teams. But I'm going to go with Washington State. Their quarterback, Gardner Minshew, has looked really good his first 2 games, transferring in from ECU.
So I will go for Eastern Washington if it'll be an upset.
Yeah. The Washington Huskies, one of the better late games. They will be taking on the Utah Utes. It'll be at Utah, at Sac Lake City, as they like to call it. But I think Washington, their offense will be a little too much.
I will go for Washington as well.
Prairie View, 1AA taking on UNLV Rebels. I think UNLV wins.
I will go for UNLV as well.
Fresno State almost had a small upset against Minnesota this weekend. They take on UCLA. UCLA has not looked good their first 2 games under Chip Kelly. That being said, as much as I want to go with Fresno State, I think UCLA wins this one.
I will go for Fresno State.
Yeah. So Arizona State, they had a big victory this past weekend. They just upset a ranked Michigan State team. They take on the San Diego State Aztecs. San Diego State, they've been one of those teams that they're in the group of 5, but they beat Arizona State last season. The running back for San Diego State, Juwan Washington, I've been talking about him. He ran for 136 yards this past weekend. He ran for 158 yards 2 weeks ago against Stanford. He could go off on Arizona State. This is actually hard because Arizona State's coming off that big victory and they might not quite respect San Diego State. I'm gonna go with San Diego State. And it would be a bit of an upset if they win, and I'm gonna do it.
If San Diego wins, it
Yes,
will be an
if San Diego
upset.
State wins.
So I will go for San Diego State as well.
All right, and the final game of the weekend, 1AA Southern Utah playing Arizona Wildcats. Khalil Tate has sucked this year. Arizona has been terrible the first 2 games, but I think they get off and they win. They win this one.
Arizona?
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Southern Utah.
All right, so those are our picks for the Week 3 games. Watch out for our picks for the NFL games. Watch out for my preview coming up. And check out my reviews for last week games. Go to our YouTube channel, Fan of Football 813. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. Go to our Twitter handle, which is
It's at FFootball813.
So go there, check the Twitter account, come back. Peace.
See you guys next week.